So it's evening. I've had time to go through the video and do a little bit of work with it, do some zooming in and get it ready for discussion on the live Thursday. And when I did so, I found a few interesting things, some points that I haven't seen anyone talking about really. So we're going to be talking about those, and I'm going to go over a little bit right here with you. We'll look at that. And then, of course, we'll discuss this Thursday with the whole group. And everybody can weigh in and, let us know what you think we're seeing here, because this is an interesting video. Very interesting. Today, September 9th, 2025, the Task Force hearing for restoring public trust through UAP transparency and whistleblower protection meeting took place, and during which this video was presented, which shows a missile intercepting a Tic Tac UFO. This was shot from a Reaper drone, and this appears to be thermal. Now, what's interesting about it is if you look at the shapes here, those do not appear to be random debris as one would expect after a collision with a missile. There are also hot and cold spots that show up in the still frames. You can advance frames by frame and you'll see this yourself. They're there. I did nothing else to this other than slow it down and add a little bit of sharpness so we could see it a little better. But those are there. Frame 5 has the most interesting one, which seems to show a strange formation of cooler objects, and then it's just gone. And then we see the objects kind of go back into the same shape, which is very strange. And then it's unclear exactly what's going on. The drone footage zooms out, and we see the object now apparently unscathed by this run-in with the missile, and just continues on its way. There does appear to be a smaller target that is in formation with the object, possibly a couple. Are those the original pieces? No idea. Absolutely no idea. So that was the video, and those were some of the things that I caught so far, but there's a lot more that we need to discuss, and we're going to be doing that, Thursday during the live. Please join us from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. But here's the thing. The similarities between what we saw there and what we have caught on thermal cannot simply be denied at this point. There's something reminiscent to some of those signatures, whether it be just a thermal, blip, or whether we see those things kind of coming together and going apart like we caught in the Mason County area with Steve. These are very interesting thermal targets, and the way that they're acting, the way that they're behaving, I don't know. All I can say is we've got a lot to talk about. Join us this Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, Wild and Weird WV for Wild and Weird Radio Live. So let's look at it together. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on, because there's a lot to discuss, and I do not mean just this clip. There's a lot to this that we have to dissect and take apart, and we're going to do that. We're going to look at some of the better clips from the from the hearing. I know a lot of people didn't sit and watch 3 hours of this thing. We did, and we're going to sit down and break this thing apart and show you the most important parts of it, because there's a lot to take away from this.
In recent months, Congress has also been presented with evidence that points to technologies that, to our knowledge, are beyond our current capabilities.
Between 2003 and 2005, 5 UAP incidents occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base, home to the National Missile Defense Project, a top national security priority. At the time, we were conducting launches deemed by the National Reconnaissance Office as the most important in 25 years. These were historic launches. These facilities were vital, and they were repeatedly visited by UAP.
It is our duty as elected representatives to follow the facts wherever they lead and to ensure that those facts are not buried under classification stamps or bureaucratic excuses.
It's a complicated question.
Have there been stories leaked about your life to try to discredit you in the public eye?
As of now, I don't know.
We know they did that to Mr. Grush.
I am aware. Yes, ma'am.
They leaked his private medical information, horrific things.
It is.
Okay, you said in your testimony earlier with the chairwoman, you know other things. I guess that has to be mentioned in a skiff.
It would.
The other things.
It would, pending I'm even legally allowed to speak on, and the people in the room are even legally allowed to hear it.
What we're trying to get to is total disclosure. We get a little wrapped up in a lot of things, but the government has something, and they need to turn it over to us. We pay their dadgum salary, you pay our salary, and you ought to get more out of us than you do. And that's what disgusts me about this whole thing. I think they're just trying to run the clock out on us, really. They'll poke us a little, and they'll make jokes to us and try to pull us off the target, but I think we know where we're at. And that's why they're firing at us, because we are over the target.
What did you do when you first experienced? Because what you saw, right? You saw it happen, like right out of your base.
Correct.
So tell me what you did after you saw that. What was like your next move? And I want to hear what your experience was.
My next move, I went into my house after it left. I made sure no one had been abducted.
We hear you, and it's time that we, enough is enough. It's time that we take action. Look, I'm not jumped to the conclusion that I believe that there are, aliens coming from another planet. But I'm open to that.
In the effort of transparency here, I got to admit to the witnesses that, growing up, I really never believed in UFOs or any of this stuff. I always thought it was a little kooky and whatnot. But, after hearing, your testimony from honorable service members, watching videos like my colleague, Mr. Burleson, just presented, I got to admit, I've become a believer.
And this is, again, available to anyone. Is there a security classification guide for UAP or NHI?
I remember in the 2003 or 2023 hearing, it was stated that all UAP-related material is classified secret or above.
And I think this latest video from Mr. Burleson is something that should get everyone pause. When you see the three orbs that drop, was that in a defensive posture or was that in an offensive posture? And what capabilities did those orbs have that we, quite frankly, may not have?
So till then, friends, stay wild and weird.